Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Privileged Black Girl. Yup, Privileged Black Girl. And as you can see by the title, today's video is going to be nothing but me reading. I will acknowledge you all as you come into the comments to say hello to me. However, I will not be acknowledging any trolls as I will be reading the entire time. I want to read this book, the whole book. It shouldn't take that long. Let's see how long it will take us to read this book. So, the name of this book, the name of this book, you always ask me, what's your favorite book? You have all these books. What's your favorite book? My favorite book is The Game of Life and How to Play It. I've had this book for, I don't know, maybe since 2022 or 2023, and I've read it. This is going to be my 5th or 6th time reading it. So I've read it a lot. As you can see, I already have my corners marked that I like to read. Here are my corners, all my corners. But yeah, we're going to read again. That's what I feel like doing today. I wanted to read this book by myself off camera, but I was like, well, I enjoy reading myself. I enjoy reading as well. I'm glad you enjoy reading. I think reading is intellectual. My purse is open. Okay, so that's what I'm going to be doing today. So again, the name of the book is The Game of Life and How to Play It. The author is Florence Scovel Shinn. Before we get started, I need to turn off my air conditioner because I had my air conditioner on overnight and now I'm cold. So hold on. I usually have my air conditioner on at nighttime because I be getting hot in my sleep, and then I turn it off during the daytime because I be cold. Anyway, The Game of Life and How to Play It by Florence Scovel Shinn. This is the complete original edition. Explore the wisdom of an inspirational classic and master the game of life. In this timeless bestseller, Florence Scovel Shinn helped to define the personal success genre. Written in the New Thought tradition, her message is simple yet transformative. We receive back what we put into the world through our actions, energy, and attitudes. Negativity and pessimism are returned in kind, but by switching the script in favor of positive attitudes and affirmations, we are able to manifest success and joy in everything we do. Never out of print since it was first published in 1923. The Game of Life is a timeless, practical, and motivational classic that continues to bring positive change to countless lives. Florence Scovel Shinn, born in 1871, died in 1940, was an American artist and book illustrator. After the publication of her first book, The Game of Life and How to Play It, in 1925, she became a popular lecturer and writer. You can get this book in the U.S. for $9.99 off Amazon, which is where I got it from, or you can get it in Canada for $13.50. Foreword by Joel Fotinos. Sorry, Joel, if I'm saying your name wrong. Your last name, anyway. Life is difficult. Damn. Anyway, my bad. Life is difficult. Everything seems so hard. I'm always broke. I'll never find my soulmate. Work is a grind. Nothing ever seems to work out for me. These are only some of the many negative thoughts that can run rapid through our minds. Many people can relate to the idea that life doesn't seem to turn out the way we thought it would or hoped it would. But is that true? Or is that just what we tell ourselves? Is it possible that we make life so much more difficult than it needs to be? And is it even remotely possible that life can be fun, even a game? That is the premise of Florence Scovel Shinn's classic masterpiece, The Game of Life and How to Play It. Originally published in 1925, The Game of Life and How to Play It has never been out of print and over the years has sold millions of copies. Originally self-published by the author after no publisher would accept it, the book has gone on to influence people from all walks of life, from business leaders to students to spiritual teachers such as Louise Hay, Norman Vincent Peale, and Emmett Fox. When a book continues to inspire readers nearly a century after its original publication, it generally means that the ideas in the book are universal and applicable. That is absolutely true for The Game of Life and How to Play It. The book contains simple yet powerful advice for living a positive life. In fact, Shinn shows how we can return our life into a game and turn our minds into power attractors of abundance at every turn in every area of our lives. Filled with stories from the author's life as well as the lives of her many students, The Game of Life and How to Play It also contains instructions on changing our viewpoint from one of limitation and negativity to that of possibility and positivity. She also shows how affirmations can yield powerful effects and even gives us exercises to use. Shinn used these ideas and practices in her own life. Born in New Jersey in 1871, Shinn became an artist, book and magazine illustrator, and even an actress in New York City. Divorced and living on her own in Manhattan, Shinn became interested in New Thought teachings and eventually became a popular spiritual teacher. It is from these experiences that she wrote her books. The Game of Life and How to Live It was the one that captured the attention of millions over the years and continues to change readers' lives to this day. As you read this book, be prepared to see your life in a new way. Shinn is clear that we have a choice in how we perceive and live our lives. Not only that, but we have a responsibility to elevate our attitudes and thoughts, which will in turn change every area in our life. She doesn't leave room for doubt, complaints, or procrastination. Follow the positive ideas in this book and see positive effects ripple in your life as well. In a foreword. The Game of Life and How to Play It. The game. Most people consider life a battle, but it is not a battle. It is a game. It is a game, however, which cannot be played successfully without the knowledge of spiritual law, and the Old and the New Testaments give the rules of the game with wonderful clearness. Jesus Christ taught that it was a great game of giving and receiving. Whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. This means that whatever man sends out in word or deed will return to him. What he gives, he will receive. If he gives hate, he will receive hate. If he gives love, he will receive love. If he gives criticism, he will receive criticism. If he lies, he will be lied to. If he cheats, he will be cheated. We are also taught that imagining faculty plays a leading part in the game of life. I gotta read that line again because that's a good one. We are taught also that imagining faculty plays a leading part in the game of life. Keep thy heart or imagination with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. Proverbs 4:23. This means that what man imagines sooner or later externalizes in his affairs. I know of a man who feared a certain disease. It was a very rare disease and difficult to get, but he pictured it continually and read about it until it manifested in his body and he died, the victim of distorted imagination. So, we see, to play successfully the game of life, we must train the imagining faculty. A person with imagining faculty, trained to imagine only good, brings into his life every righteous desire of his heart: health, wealth, love, friends, perfect self-expression, his highest ideals. The imagination has been called the scissors of the mind, and it is ever cutting day by day the pictures man sees there, and sooner or later he meets his own creations in his outer world. To train the imagination successfully, man must understand the workings of his mind. The Greeks said, "Know thyself." There are three departments of the mind: the subconscious, conscious, and superconscious. The subconscious is simply power without direction. It is like steam or electricity, and it does what it is directed to do. It has no power of induction. Whatever man feels deeply or imagines clearly is impressed upon the subconscious mind and carried out in minutest detail. For example, a woman I know when a child always made believe she was a widow. She dressed up in black clothes and wore a long veil, and people thought she was very clever and amusing. She grew up and married a man with whom she was deeply in love. In a short time, he died, and she wore black and a sweeping veil for many years. The picture of herself as a widow was impressed upon the subconscious mind, and in due time worked itself out regardless of the havoc created. The conscious mind has been called mortal or carnal mind. It is the human mind and sees life as it appears to be. It sees death, disaster, sickness, poverty, and limitation of every kind, and it impresses the subconscious. The superconscious mind is the God mind within each man and is the realm of perfect ideas. In it is the perfect pattern spoken of by Plato, the divine design. For there is a divine design for each person. There is a place that you are to feel and no one else can feel, something you are to do which no one else can do. There is a perfect picture of this in the superconscious mind. It usually flashes across this conscious as an unattainable ideal, something too good to be true. Now I'm starting to come across my markings in the book because I read it so many times. But either way, we shall proceed. In reality, it is a man's true destiny or destination flashed to him from the infinite intelligence which is within himself. Many people, however, are in ignorance of their true destinies and are striving for things and situations which do not belong to them and would only bring failure and dissatisfaction if attained. Y'all, I know I'm reading this book, but I have to read that part again because that is a gem. That is a gem even I needed a refresher on, which is many people, however, are in ignorance of their true destinies and are striving for things and situations which do not belong to them and would only bring failure and dissatisfaction if attained. For example, this is why I had to read this book again, because I literally woke up, y'all. Literally, I woke up and this is the first thing on my mind. Like, you know how you waking up in your mind, you kind of waking up, but your eyes are not open, and all that kept going through my head was the game of life and how to play it, the game of life and how to play it, the game of life and how to play it. And I started reading like the first page and by myself right here on my sofa. And then I was like, you know what? I'm about to go live and read this, because I know next week I'm going to be very busy and I won't be able to show up for you all like I want to. So I want to invest the time to at least leave you all on the right mindset. You know what I mean? On the mindset that I'm thinking on, the vibration that I'm thinking on, where I am mentally in my life. I did yesterday sit and upload a lot of reels on my on my YouTube channel. So go be sure to check those out. Thank you all so much for supporting me. But yes, I'm telling you, your mindset matters. The way that you think matters on an everyday basis. Your subconscious, your superconscious, your conscious brain is always categorizing. Anyway, let's move on. I'm going to read my gem again, though, because that triggered me. Many people, however, are in ignorance of their true destinies and are striving for things and situations which do not belong to them and will only bring failure and dissatisfaction if attained. For example, a woman came to me and asked me to speak the word that she would marry a certain man with whom she was very much in love. She called him A.B. I replied, that this would be a violation of spiritual law, but that I would speak the word for the right man, the divine selection, the man who belonged to her by divine right. I added, if AB is the right man, you can't lose him, and if he isn't, you will receive his equivalent. She saw AB frequently, but no headway was made in their friendship. One evening, she called and said, do you know, for the last week, AB hasn't seemed so wonderful to me? I replied, maybe he's not the divine selection. Another man may be the right one. Soon after, she met another man who fell in love with her at once and who said she was his ideal. In fact, he said all the things that she had always wished AB would say to her. She remarked it was quite uncanny. She soon returned his love and lost all interest in AB. This shows the law of substitution. A right idea was substituted for a wrong one. Therefore, there was no loss or sacrifice involved. Jesus Christ said, seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. And he said, the kingdom was within man. The kingdom is the realm of right ideas, or the divine pattern. Jesus Christ taught that man's words played a leading part in the game of life. By your words ye are justified, and by your words ye are condemned. Many people have brought disaster into their lives through idle words. For example, a woman once asked me why her life was now one of poverty, of limitation. Formerly, she had a home, she was surrounded by beautiful things, and had plenty of money. We found she had often tired of the management of her home and had said repeatedly, I'm sick of tired of things. I wish I lived in a trunk. And she had added, today I am living in that trunk. She had spoken herself into a trunk. The subconscious mind has no sense of humor, and people often joke themselves into unhappy experiences. For example, a man who had a great deal of money joked continually about getting ready for the poorhouse. In a few years, she was almost destitute, having impressed the subconscious mind with the picture of lack and limitation. Fortunately, the law works both ways, and a situation of lack may be changed to one of plenty. For example, a woman came to me one hot summer's day for a treatment for prosperity. She was worn out, dejected, and discouraged. She said she possessed just $8 in this world. in the world. I said, good. We'll bless the $8 and multiply them as Jesus Christ multiplied the loaves and the fishes. For he taught that every man had the power to bless and to multiply, to heal and to prosper. She said, what shall I do next? I replied, follow intuition. Have you a hunch to do anything or to go anywhere? Intuition means intuition, or to be taught from within. It is the man's, hold on, okay. It is man's unerring guide, and I will deal more fully with its laws in a following chapter. The woman replied, I don't know, I seem to have a hunch to go home. I have just enough money for carfare. Her home was in a distant city and was one of lack and limitation, and the reasoning mind or intellect would have said, stay in New York and get work and make some money. I replied, then go home. Never violate a hunch. I spoke the following words for her. Infinite Spirit, open the way for great abundance for. She is irresistible magnet for all that belongs to her by divine right. I told her to repeat it continually also. She left for her home immediately. In calling on a woman one day, she linked up with an old friend of her family. Through this friend, she received thousands of dollars in a most miraculous way. She has said to me often, tell people about the woman who came to you with $8 and a hunch. There's always plenty on man's pathway, but it can only be brought into manifestation through desire, faith, or the spoken word. Jesus Christ brought out clearly that man must make the first move. Ask and it shall be given. Ask and it shall be given. You seek and ye shall find. Knock and it shall be open unto you. Matthew 7:7. As I'm reading, I had a thought, but I won't share it right now. In these scriptures we read, concerning the works of my hands, command ye me. Infinite intelligence, God is ever ready to carry out man's smallest or greatest demands. Every desire, uttered or unexpressed, is a demand. We're often startled by having a wish suddenly fulfilled. For example, one Easter, having seen many beautiful rose trees in the florist's window, I wished I would receive one, and for an instant saw it mentally being carried in the door. Easter came, and with it a beautiful rose tree. I thanked my friend the following day and told her it was just what I had wanted. She replied, I didn't send you a rose tree, I sent you lilies. The man had mixed the order and sent me a rose tree simply because I had started the law in action and I had to have a rose tree. Nothing stands between man and his highest ideals and every desire of his heart but doubt and fear. When man can wish without worrying, every desire will be instantly fulfilled. I will explain more fully in a following chapter the scientific reason for this and how fear must be erased from the consciousness. It is man's only enemy. Fear of lack, fear of failure, fear of sickness, fear of loss, and a feeling of insecurity on some plane. Jesus Christ said, why are ye fearful, O ye of little faith? Matthew 8:26. So we can see we must substitute faith for fear. For fear is only inverted faith. It is faith in evil instead of good. The object of the game of life is to see clearly one's good and to obliterate all mental pictures of evil. This must be done by impressing the subconscious mind with a realization of good. A very brilliant man who has attained great success told me he had suddenly erased all fear from his consciousness by reading a sign which hung in a room he saw printed in large letters that he saw printed in large letters this statement: why worry? It will probably never happen. These words were stamped indelibly upon his subconscious mind, and he now and has now a firm conviction that only good can come into his life, therefore only good can manifest. One of my sayings are, or a couple of my sayings, is good things are supposed to happen to me. 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 Stamp that in your brain. Good things are supposed to happen to me. And I think that is a quote from Les Brown. You know Les and Wes, the dumb twin and the smart twin? Well, Les was considered the dumb twin, and he's not. Look up Les Brown Jr. Good things are supposed to happen to me. Good things. Good things. Good things. I appreciate that. I started following Les Brown a little while ago. We're going to take a little smoke break. I'm going to hit my blunt right quick. I'm reading to you all because I really want to impress upon your subconscious mind how important it is to train it. It's important to train mind. Stand guard at the door of your mind. Stand guard at the door of your heart. For what goes in it will definitely come out. So I'm going to hit my blunt and we're going to keep reading. But always remember, good things are supposed to happen to me. Wish without worrying. Every demand will be instantly fulfilled. I'm so excited. Okay. I just wanted to hit it right quick. I'm gonna put it out. You ain't got but like 2 more puffs on it anyway. It's a little blunt. Okay. In the following chapter, I will deal with different methods of impressing the subconscious mind. It is man's faithful servant, but one must be careful to give it the right orders. Man has ever a silent listener at his side, his subconscious mind. Every thought, every word is impressed upon it and carried out in amazing detail. It is like a singer making a record on the sensitive disc of the phonographic plate. Every plate and tone of the singer's voice is registered. If he coughs or hesitates, it is registered also. So let us all break all the old bad records in the subconscious mind, the records of our lives which we do not wish to keep, and make new and beautiful ones. Now that I just read is And now that I just read, the book I'm reading is The Game of Life and How to Play It by Florence Scovel Shinn. It's in the title. That's literally what the title of my live says. The Game of Life and How to Play It by Florence Scovel Shinn. And I'm reading. If you don't like me reading, keep scrolling. I'm going to continue to read anyway. It has nothing to do with me that you don't want me to read. I'm just going to keep reading. So, that right there, what I just read, can be very, very challenging to do, but it's highly possible. Seriously, every thought, every word is impressed upon it and carried out in amazing detail. It is like a singer making a record on the sensitive disc of the phonographic plate. Every note and tone of the singer's voice is registered. If he coughs or hesitates, it is registered also. So let us break all the old bad records in the subconscious mind, the records of our lives which we do not wish to keep, and make new and beautiful ones. Speak these words aloud with power and conviction. I now smash and demolish by spoken word every untrue record in my subconscious mind. They shall return to the dust heap of their native nothingness, for they came from my own vain imaginings. I now make my perfect records through the Christ within, the records of health, wealth, love, and perfect self expression. This is the square of life, the game completed. In the following chapters, I will show how man can change his conditions by changing his words. Any man who does not know the power of the word is behind the times. Death and life are in the power of the tongue. Proverbs 18:21. The law of prosperity. I wanted to read today before I got on the internet scrolling, because for these past couple of days I've been doom scrolling, just like scrolling on TikTok, scrolling on YouTube, scrolling on Instagram, scrolling. So today I'm gonna read. That's what I'm doing. The law of prosperity. The law of prosperity. Yeah, the Almighty shall be thy defense, and thou shalt have plenty of silver. One of the greatest messages given to the race through the scriptures is that God is man's supply and that man can release through his spoken word all that belongs to him by divine right. He must, however, have perfect faith in his spoken word. Isaiah said, My word shall not return unto me void, but shall accomplish that whereunto it is sent. We know now that words and thoughts are a tremendous vibratory force, ever molding man's body and affairs. A woman came to me in great distress and said she was to be sued on the 15th of the month for $3,000. She knew no way of getting the money and was in despair. I told her God was her supply and that there is a supply for every demand. So I spoke the word. I gave thanks that the woman would receive $3,000 at the time in the right way. I told her she must have perfect faith and act her perfect faith. The 15th came, but no money had materialized. She called me on the phone and asked me what she was to do. I replied, It is Saturday, so they won't sue you today. Your part is to act rich, thereby showing perfect faith that you will receive it by Monday. She asked me to launch with her to keep up her courage. When I joined her at the restaurant, I said, This is no time to economize. Order an expensive luncheon. Act as if you've already received the $3,000. All things whatsoever ye ask in prayer, believing ye shall receive. You must act as if you had already received. The next morning, she called me on the phone and asked me to stay with her during the day. I said, No, you are divinely protected and God is never too late. In the evening, she phoned again, greatly excited, and said, My dear, a miracle has happened. I was sitting in my room this morning when the doorbell rang. I said to the maid, Don't let anyone in. The maid, however, looked out the window and said, It's your cousin with the long white beard. So I said, Call him back. I would like to see him. He was just turning the corner when he heard the maid's voice and he came back. He talked for about an hour, and just as he was leaving, he said, Oh, by the way, how are finances? I told him I needed the money, and he said, Why, my dear, I will give you $3,000 the first of the month. I didn't like to tell him I was going to be sued. What shall I do? I won't receive it till the first of the month, and I must have it tomorrow, I said. I'll keep on treating. I said, Spirit is never too late. I gave thanks. She has received the money on the invisible plane that it manifests on time. I said, hold on, wait. I didn't like to tell him I didn't like to tell him I was going to be sued. What shall I do? I won't receive it till the first of the month, and I must have it tomorrow. I said, I'll keep on treating. I said, Spirit is never too late. I give thanks she has received the money on the invisible plane and that it manifests on time. The next morning, her cousin called her and said, come to my office this morning and I will give you the money. That afternoon, she had $3,000 to her credit in the bank and wrote checks as rapidly as her excitement would permit. If one asks for success and prepares for failure, he will get the situation he has prepared for. For example, a man came to me asking me to speak the word that a certain debt would be wiped out. I've spent his time planning what he would say to the man when he did not pay his bill, thereby neutralizing my words. He should have seen himself paying the debt. Did y'all hear that? If one asks for success and prepares for failure, he will get the situation he has prepared for. For example, a man came to me asking me to speak the word that a certain debt would be wiped out. I found he spent his time planning what he would say to the man when he did not pay his bill, thereby neutralizing my words. He should have seen himself paying the debt. We have a wonderful illustration of this in the Bible, relating to the three kings who were in the desert without water for their men and horses. They consulted the prophet Elisha, or Elisha. It don't look like Elisha, it said Elisha, who gave them this astonishing message. Thus saith the Lord, ye shall not send wind, neither shall ye send. Thus saith the Lord, ye shall not see wind, neither shall ye rain, yet make this valley full of ditches. Mm. I never heard of Prophet Elisha. I think that's Elijah, but that don't. The way they spelled it Elisha. That looked like Elisha to me, but I don't think that's Elisha. Did y'all know Prophet Elisha? I don't think so. I never heard of Prophet Elisha, but okay. They consulted the prophet Elisha, who gave them this astonishing message. Thus saith the Lord, ye shall not see wind, neither shall ye see rain, yet make this valley full of ditches. Must man prefer must man must prepare for the thing he has asked for, where there isn't the slightest sign of it in sight. I keep smiling and I laugh because, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, you know what's so amazing? Everything that I've ever wanted in my life, I always prepared for it, even when I didn't know if I would have it or not. I always been like, yeah, that's gonna happen because I said it's gonna happen. I think that this mentality was poured upon me when I was younger as a child because my mom always told me to watch my words. She's always said that watch your words, watch your words, watch your words. She's one of those parents who didn't call them devil eggs, she called them angel eggs. Yeah, that's how much she wanted us to watch our words.
So, and then when we were singing different songs, we couldn't sing vernacular songs back in the day, but if we did, and she caught us singing one, she'd be like, "Don't say that, switch it around." So if you be like, I'm dying for your love," she would be like, "Don't say that, say I'm living for your love." Like she would always make us switch the words of anything that wasn't positive or uplifting or encouraging. And when I was younger, people always felt like, why do you think like that, or why are you like that? It's because my mom always told me that your words are powerful. And this book is only the reconfirmation of what my mom told me and what I've always known and what I've seen to happen and play out in my real life as an adult. I remember when I was 18 years old and I moved out from with my family. I moved from my hometown. I was living in Tennille, Georgia at the time. I moved from Tennille, Georgia on West Adams Street. I moved from over there 2 days after graduating high school. I took the Greyhound bus to Atlanta, and I stayed with my cousin for about 5 or 6 months. And then I stayed with my ex boyfriend. I saved like $5,000. This is all when I'm 18 years old, 19 years old. And I'm just out here young and getting it and making money and living my life. And my cousin got the trip, so I moved out from with her. And then my boyfriend broke up with me, but his family let me stay in his house the whole time that I was still saving and stacking my money. And I got a car, and then eventually I got my own. Before I got my own apartment, what I had did, I never had my own place. This is my first place at 18 years old. I never had my own place in my life, and I didn't know how to like take care of no house. I knew how to take care of a household because I'm the oldest child, and I watched my mom take care of a household, like clean, cook, make sure the house is clean and stuff, and have order. But to sit down and pay bills to make sure everything is paid on time, the reason why I am the way that I am is because these are the trainings that I've had since I was like 18 years old. So when I was 18 years old, that's when I had got and I moved out. I got closer to my grandfather and parted ways with my mom because my mom was just like using and abusing me. And even though she was telling us to stay positive, but I'm still beat your ass. I I got beat and got my nose busted 2 days before I graduated high school. So I damn sure was dipping 2 days after I left high school because my mom and her controlling ways. But anyway, the point that I'm making is when I'm at this age and I'm going on 19 years old, and like, because I graduated in May, time passed. All this time passed. By the time I turned 19, I had my own car, in contact with my grandfather. My grandfather is telling me how to pay my bills, teaching me at 18 years old how to pay my bills once a month. I didn't never have my own place, but you know what I did to start preparing for my own place, even though I had never had it? I started buying dishes and furniture and cleaning supplies and different home decor and just stuffing it in my car. And I never had my own place. And by the time I moved into my own place, I had all the shit that I had been preparing for. So that's how I know Florence is telling the truth in this book. Whatever you prepare for is what you will get. If you prepare for failure, you're going to get exactly that. If you prepare for bullshit, you're going to get exactly that. If you prepare to be in a loveless relationship, you're going to get exactly that. Whatever it is that you're preparing for, that's what you're going to get. So I don't know. I just had to share that little bit of piece of my story from back in the day because I can't share what I'm manifesting right now because I'm actively manifesting it. But I will share how I have always utilized these principles and these laws before I was even able to articulate them with words. So yes, get it, Florence, get it. Okay. Man must prepare for the thing he asked for when there isn't the slightest sign of it in sight. For example, a woman found it necessary to look for an apartment during the year when there was a great shortage. Excuse me, that was a nasty burp. For example, a woman found it necessary to look for an apartment during the year when there was a great shortage of apartments in New York. It was considered almost an impossibility, and her friends were sorry for her and said, "Isn't it too bad? You'll have to store your furniture and live in a hotel." She replied, "You needed to feel sorry for me. I'm a Superman and I'll get an apartment."
She spoke the words, Infinite Spirit, open the way for the right apartment. Infinite Spirit, open the way for the right apartment. She knew there was a supply for every demand and that she was unconditioned, working on the spiritual plane, and that one with God is a majority. She had contemplated buying new blankets when the tempter, the adverse thought or reasoning, suggested, don't buy the blankets. Perhaps, after all, you won't get an apartment and you will have no use for them. She promptly replied to herself, I'll dig my ditches by buying the blankets. So she prepared for the apartment, acted as though she already had it. She found one in a miraculous way, and it was given to her, although there was over 200 other applicants. The blankets show active faith. It is needless to say that the ditches dug by the three kings in the desert were filled to overflowing. Read 2 Kings. Getting into the spiritual swing of things is no easy matter for the average person. The adverse thoughts of doubt and fear surge from the subconscious. There are the army of the aliens, which must be put to flight. This explains why it is so often darkest before the dawn. A big demonstration is usually preceded by tormenting thoughts. Having made a statement of high spiritual truth, one challenges the old beliefs in the subconscious and error is exposed to be put out. This is the time when one must make his affirmations of truth repeatedly and rejoice and give thanks that he has already received. Before ye call, I shall answer. This means that every good and perfect gift is already man's awaiting his recognition. Man can only receive what he sees himself receiving. The children of Israel were told that they could have all the land they could see. This is true of every man. He has only the land within his own mental vision. Every great work, every big accomplishment has been brought into manifestation through holding to the vision, and often just before the big achievement comes apparent failure and discouragement. The children of Israel, when they reached the promised land, were afraid to go in, for they said it was filled with giants who made them feel like grasshoppers. And there we saw the giants, and we were in our own sight as grasshoppers. This is almost every man's experience. However, the one who knows spiritual law is undisturbed by appearance and rejoices while he is yet in captivity. That is, he holds to the vision. He holds to his vision and gives thanks that the end is accomplished he has received. Jesus Christ gave a wonderful example of this. He said to his disciples, Say not ye, there are yet 4 miles, and then cometh the harvest? Behold, I say unto you, lift up your eyes and look on the fields, for they are ripe already to harvest. His clear vision pierced the world of matter, and he saw clearly the fourth dimensional world, things as they really are, perfect and complete in divine mind. So man must ever hold the vision of his journeys in and demand the manifestation of that which he has already received. It may be his perfect health, love, supply, self-expression, home, or friends. They are all finished and perfect ideas registered in divine mind, man's own superconscious mind, and must come through him, not to him. For example, a man came to me asking for treatments for success. It was imperative that he raise, within a certain time, $50,000 for his business. The time limit was almost up when he came to me in despair. No one wanted to invest in his enterprise, and the bank had flatly refused a loan. I replied, I suppose you lost your temper while at the bank.
therefore your power. You can control any situation if you first control yourself. Go back to the bank, I added, and I will treat you. My treatment was, you are identified in love with the spirit of everyone connected to the bank. Let the divine idea come out of this situation. He replied, Women, Woman, you are talking about an impossibility. Tomorrow is Saturday. The bank closes at 12 and my train won't get me there until 10. And the time limit is up tomorrow. And anyway, they won't do it. It's too late. I replied, God doesn't need any time and is never too late. With him, all things are possible. I added, I don't know anything about business, but I know all about God. He replied, It all sounds fine to me when I sit here listening to you, but when I go out there, it's terrible. He lived in a distant city, and I did not hear from him for a week. Then came a letter. It read, You were right. I raised the money and I will never again doubt the truth of all that you told me. I saw him a few weeks later and I said, What happened? You evidently had plenty of time after all. He replied, My train was late and I got there just 15 minutes to 12. I walked into the bank quietly and said, I have come for the loan, and they said, gave it to me without a question. It was the last 15 minutes of the time allotted to him, and Infinite Spirit was not too late. In this instance, the man could never have demonstrated alone. He needed someone to help him hold to the vision. This is what one man can do for another. Jesus Christ knew the truth of this when he said, If two of you shall agree on earth as touching anything that they shall ask, it shall be done for them of my Father which is in heaven. One gets too close to his own affairs and becomes doubtful and fearful. The friend or healer sees clearly the success, health, or prosperity and never wavers because he is not too close to the situation. I need to unline it. Because I actually need to say it to somebody right now. I need to say it to somebody right now. One gets too close to his own affairs and becomes doubtful and fearful. The friend or healer sees clearly the success, health, or prosperity and never wavers because he is not too close to the situation. He is not close to the situation. Do y'all understand what's happening right there? That is powerful. That is powerful. One gets too close to his own affairs and becomes doubtful and fearful. The friend or healer sees clearly the success, health, or prosperity and never wavers because he is not close to the situation. That's good tea right there. That's good tea. It is much easier to demonstrate for someone else than for oneself. So a person should not hesitate to ask for help if he feels himself wavering. A keen observer of life once said, No man can fail if some one person sees him successful. Such is the power of the vision, and many a great man has owed his success to a wife or sister or a friend who believed in him and held without wavering to the perfect pattern. That is good, y'all. That is good. I gotta underline that too. That is good, y'all. That is good. That is good. That is good. I'm just put a little box around that right there. I'm gonna read it again, though. I'm gonna read it again. I like that. I mean, I've only read this book like 6 times. I promise you. Look at all my little corners. Look at all my little corners. I already read it. I'm just reading it again for y'all, but I already read it so many times. But I feel like I found another gem every time I read it. Like, it's so good. That's how good the book is. Because I feel like I found a gem every time I read it. It says, a keen observer of life once said, no man can fail if some one person sees him successful. Such is the power of the vision, and many a great man has owed his success to a wife or sister or a friend who believed in him and held without wavering to the perfect pattern. Okay, next section. I know I'm reading this. I'm gonna keep reading this book because I really enjoy it. Like, this is like so good. The Game of Life and How to Play It by Florence Scovel Shinn is so good. I know I'm in all these weird positions reading because if I wasn't reading on here like this, I would literally just still be sitting here doing the same thing. I would be reading like this, like in all these weird ways. You know what I mean? Like, who reads upside down like this on live? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, we can do it. We can do it. We can do it. We can read like this. Yeah, let's read like this. Can y'all see it? Y'all can see too? Okay, cool. Y'all can see. Can you see? Okay. The power of the word. By the words thou shalt be justified, and by thy words thou shalt be condemned. A person knowing the power of the word becomes very careful of his conversation. Okay? I'm telling you. I'm telling you, boy. I'm telling you. I always find new gems. A person knowing the power of the word becomes very careful of his conversation. He has only to watch the reaction of his words to know that they do not return void. Through his spoken word, man is continually making laws for himself. I knew a man who said, I always miss a car. It invariably pulls out just as I arrive. His daughter said, I always catch a car. It's sure to come to me just as I get there. This occurred for years. Each had a separate law for himself, one of failure, one of success. This is the I'm trying to close my pen. This is the psychology of superstitions. The horseshoe or rabbit's foot contains no power, but man's spoken word and belief that it will bring him good luck creates expectancy in the subconscious mind and attracts a lucky situation. I find, however, this will not work when man has advanced spiritually and knows a higher law. One cannot turn back. Oh shit, I can't show that on live. I don't need to show that. Allah. Look at you. Okay, anyways, hold on. Wait, why did I just go down memory road right quick in my mind? It was like flashback, 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 flashback. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Wait. Hold on, wait. Yeah. Can y'all? Okay, cool. Where were we again? My mind. Such a wonderful place to be. Hold on, let me go back a little bit, please. I need to go back a little bit. Okay. One cannot turn back and must put away graven images. For example, two men in my class had great success in business for several months when suddenly everything went to smash. We tried to analyze the situation, and I found instead of making their affirmations and looking to God for success and prosperity, they had each bought a lucky monkey. I said, "Oh, I see. You have been trusting in the lucky monkeys instead of God. Put away the lucky monkeys and call on the law of forgiveness. For man has power to forgive or neutralize his mistakes." They decided to throw the lucky monkeys down a coal hole and all went well again. This does not mean, however, that one should throw away every lucky ornament or horseshoe about the house, but he must recognize that the power back of it is the one and only power, God, and that the object simply gives him a feeling of expectancy. I was with a friend one day who was in deep despair, and crossing the street, she picked up a horseshoe. Immediately, she was filled with joy and hope. She said God had sent her the horseshoe in order to keep up her courage. It was indeed, at the moment, about the only thing that could have registered in her subconsciousness. Her hope became faith, and she ultimately made a wonderful demonstration. I wish to make the point clear that the men previously mentioned were depending on the monkeys alone, while this woman recognized the power back of the horseshoe. I know, in my own case, it took a long while to get out of a belief that a certain thing brought disappointment. If the thing happened, disappointment invariably followed. I found the only way I could make a change in the subconscious was by asserting there are not two powers, there is only one power, God. Therefore, there are no disappointments, and that this thing means a happy surprise. I noticed a change at once, and happy surprises commenced coming my way. I have a friend who said nothing could induce her to walk under a ladder. I said, if you are afraid, you are giving into a belief in two powers, good and evil, instead of one. As God is absolute, there can be no opposing power unless man makes the false of evil for himself. To show you believe in only one power, God, and that there is no power or reality in evil, walk under the ladder, walk under the next ladder you see. Soon after she went to her bank, she wished to open her box in the safe deposit vault, and there stood a ladder on her pathway. It is impossible to reach the box without passing under the ladder. She quailed with fear and turned back. She could not face the lion on her path. However, when she reached the street, my words rang in her ears, and she decided to return and walk under it. It was a big moment in her life, for ladders had held her in bondage for years. She retraced her steps to the vault, and the ladder was no longer there. This is this so often happens. If one is willing to do a thing he is afraid to do, he does not have to do. He does not have to. It is the law of non-resistance. Let's go back a little bit. She retraced her steps to the vault, and the ladder was no longer there. This so often happens. If one is willing to do a thing he is afraid to do, he does not have to. It is the law of non resistance, which is so little understood. Someone has said that courage contains genius and magic. Face a situation, effort, face a, face a situation fearlessly, and there is no situation to face. It falls away of its own weight. The explanation is that fear attracted the ladder on the woman's pathway and fearlessness removed it. I love that. 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 That is so good. That is so good. Thus, the invisible forces are ever working for a man who is always pulling the strings himself, though he does not know it. Owing to the vibratory power of words, whatever man voices, he begins to attract. People who continually speak of disease invariably attract it. After man knows the truth, he cannot be careful of his words. After man knows the truth, he cannot be too careful of his words. For example, I have a friend who often says on the phone, "Do come to see me and have a fine old-fashioned chat." This old-fashioned chat means an hour of about 500 to 1,000 destructive words. The principal topics being loss, lack, failure, and sickness. I reply, "No, I thank you. I've had enough old-fashioned chats in my life. They are too expensive. But I will be glad to have a new-fashioned chat and talk about what we want, not what we don't want." There is an old saying that man only dares use his words for three purposes: to heal, bless, or prosper. What man says of others will be said of him, and what he wishes for another, he is wishing for himself. Curses like chicken come home to roost. If a man wishes someone bad luck, he is sure to attract bad luck himself. If he wishes to aid someone to success, he is wishing and aiding himself to success. The body may be renewed and transformed through the spoken word and clear vision, and disease may be completely wiped out of the subconscious. The body may be renewed and transformed through the spoken word and clear vision, and disease be completely wiped out of the consciousness. The metaphysician knows that all disease has a mental correspondence, and in order to heal the body, one must first heal the soul. The soul is the subconscious mind, and it must be saved from wrong thinking. In the 23rd Psalm, we read, "He restored my soul." This means that the subconscious mind or soul must be restored with the right ideas, and the mystical marriage is the marriage of the soul and the spirit, or the subconscious and superconscious mind. They must be one. The subconscious is flooded with the perfect ideas of the superconscious. God and man are one. I and the Father are one. That is, he is one with the realm of perfect ideas. He is the man made in God's likeness and image, imagination, and is given power and dominion over all created things, his mind, body, and affairs. It is safe to say that all sickness and unhappiness come from the violation of the law of love. A new commandment I give unto you, love one another. And in the game of life, love or goodwill takes every trick. For example, a woman I know had 4 years an appearance of a terrible skin disease. The doctors told her it was incurable and she was in despair. She was on the stage and she feared she would soon have to give up her profession, and she had no other means of support. She, however, procured a good engagement and on the opening night made a great hit. She received flattering notices from the critics and was joyful and elated. The next day, she received a notice of dismissal. A man in the cast had been jealous of her success and had caused her to be sent away. She felt hatred and resentment taking complete possession of her, and she cried out, "Oh God, don't let me hate that man." That night she worked for 4 hours in silence. That night she worked for hours in the silence. She said, I soon came into a very deep silence. I seemed to be at peace with myself, with the man, and with the whole world. I continued this for 2 following nights. And on the third night, I found I was healed completely of the skin disease. In asking for love or goodwill, she had fulfilled the law, for love is the fulfilling of the law, and the disease, which came from subconscious resentment, was wiped out. Continual criticism produces rheumatism, as critical and harmonious thoughts cause unnatural deposits in the blood, which settle in the joints. Disease comes from the dis-ease of the mind, heart, body, and soul. I'm telling you. I gotta unline that because I'm gonna read it to somebody. Yeah, they talking about they joints hurting and shit. I'm gonna tell them you got some shit in your subconscious mind that you need to get rid of. That's why your joints hurting. Yeah. Seriously. Continual criticism produces rheumatism, as critical, inharmonious thoughts cause unnatural deposits in the blood, which settles in the joints. False growths are caused by jealousy, hatred, unforgiveness, fear, etc. etc. False growths. Hold on, I need to sit up for this one. I need to hit my blunt for this one. I need to hit my blunt for this one. Let me sit the hell up. Hold on. Y'all, I am enjoying reading this book because it is like so practical and can be applied immediately. Okay? Immediately. But I'm going to keep reading, but I'm going to hit my blunt first. I wanted to get on here and start reading before I got too high on my blunt. Like, yeah, no. But I'm going to read. Smoke break, smoke break, smoke break, smoke break. Yeah. I hear somebody outside my window, but I don't feel like getting up to go see what it is.
Oh, this book's so good. False growths are caused by jealousy, hatred, unforgiveness, fear, etc. Every disease is caused by a mind not at ease. I said once in my class, there is no use asking anyone what's the matter with you. We might just as well say, who's the matter with you? I should buy this book for somebody, but like, yeah. I like that a lot. Because I feel like like she said, not enough people understand this, and you need to understand it. False growths are caused by jealousy, hatred, unforgiveness, fear, etc. Every disease is caused by a mind not at ease. I said once in my class, there is no use asking anyone what's the matter with you. We might just as well say, who's the matter with you? Unforgiveness is the most prolific cause of disease. It will harden arteries or liver and affect the eyesight. In its train are endless ills. I need to work on my heart. Work on my. I don't know if I have anyone that I haven't forgiven. I more so have thoughts in regard to I learned a valuable lesson from these people. And yeah, I learned. But let's keep reading. Let's keep reading and see what Florence got to say about that, because that one kind of hit a nerve. Now, you know what hit a nerve about it? The part where it's like, what she say? Hold on, let me see. The part where she says unforgiveness. Because I found it very, 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 very challenging to forgive someone who abused me most of my life. I found it so hard. And I get it, I understand, and I try to come from a place of deep understanding. And my eyes have been bothering me a lot lately. Like my eyesight, I've had to start wearing glasses. I've been putting eye drops in my eyes more than lately than anything. So I'm just trying to be, as I'm reading these things to you all and reading to you, as I'm reading to you, I'm learning also. So for me, it's more so, it's like my eyes. When she said it about my eyes, I felt seen. Like, because my eyes have been bothering me, but I refuse to believe because I haven't forgiven anyone. I don't know. Maybe I have some unforgiveness in my heart. How do you? I'm working on it. I'm working on it. I don't know if I have any unforgiveness on my heart more so than I don't fuck with you. You little stupid ass bitch. I ain't fucking with you. I think that's my heart. Little dumb man, I ain't fucking with you. I think that's more so. But we'll get back to the book. You know, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah. I called on a woman one day who said she was ill from having eaten a poisoned oyster. I replied, "Oh no, the oyster wasn't harmless. You poisoned the oyster. What's the matter with you?" She answered, "Oh, about 19 people." She had quarreled with 19 people and had become so inharmonious that she attracted the wrong oyster. God damn. God damn. Ain't that some shit? Imagine going to a doctor or going to somebody and they like, and you like, "Oh my gosh, I have food poisoning. I had chicken last night." And they be like, "That chicken didn't poison you. You poisoned the chicken." That's some deep thinking. That's some very deep thinking to me. Yeah. This book is good. Real good. Any inharmony on the external indicates there is mental inharmony. As the within, so the without. I always say that. Man's only enemies are within himself, and a man's foes shall be they of his own household. Did y'all hear that? Did you hear that? Did you hear that? I'm trying to tell you. I need me a glass of wine. I want me a glass of wine. I don't need it, but I want one. So I'm gonna get that right quick, because why not? Why not? Here we go. Sipping wine and reading. Oh my gosh. 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 I just love when I read things that confirm or reconfirm what I already believe internally, because I know I'm not crazy. I'm not tripping. I'm always following my intuition. I'm always, as my friend likes to say, I'm micromanaging my relationships. I'm always micromanaging the relationships around me more than you'll micromanage at your goddamn job that you tired of. Yeah, I be doing that. But that's only because I feel like it's so important to watch the company that you keep. It's so important and it's so imperative that you pay attention to the company that you keep, for the things that their energy that they're around, that they're entertaining. It all plays a big role in your life. And I'm not sure what type of life that you all have or that you want, but the vision that I have for my life requires me to micromanage the relationships that are trying to enter it, or that are here. So, and this one hits home. No pun intended. It does. And a man's foes shall be they of his own household. I know a lot of y'all have a lot of enemies in your own household. You don't want to you don't want to look at it that way. You don't want to take the accountability and see it that way, but that's what it is. Personality is one of the last enemies to be overcome, as this planet is taking its initiation in love. It was Christ's message, peace on earth, goodwill towards man. The enlightened man therefore endeavors to perfect himself upon his neighbor. His work is within himself. His work is with himself to send out goodwill and blessings to every man. And the marvelous thing is that if one man blesses a man, he has no power to harm him. Have you ever been reading something or been following along, or for example, like right now, as I've been reading this book, there have been little scenarios playing out in my mind that I've been going back and forth with, like, okay, did I do the right thing in that situation, or didn't I do the right? Like, and the book is just confirming the way in which I've moved, and just is confirming that I've done the right thing. A lot of the right things. I'm always looking to do the right thing, because I do believe that you reap what you sow. Like, I've always said that to people since I was young. I've always said that to people. You reap what you sow. And a lot of people, I've lost friends from telling them that you reap what you sow. I've lost friends from saying that to them. But it's because they came to me with some bullshit, like doing things they had no business doing, and then wondering why they suffer the consequences. It's because you put that energy out, so that's what you received. And maybe I wasn't being a good friend at the time to tell you straight like that, or maybe I was being too straightforward of a friend and you weren't able to receive it. However, I wasn't going to sit in your face and lie to you. When you put that energy out into the world, you're going to receive it back. And a lot of people don't like to take the accountability that it's their actions that have brought upon them what's going on around them in their life. As have I. Personality is one of the last enemies to be overcome, as this planet is taking its initiation in love. It was Christ's message, peace on earth, goodwill towards man. The enlightened man, therefore, endeavors to perfect himself upon his neighbor. His work is with himself to send out goodwill and blessings to every man, and the marvelous thing is that if one blesses a man, he has no power to harm him. For example, a man came to me asking to treat for success in business. He was selling machinery, and a rival appeared on the scene with what he proclaimed was a better machine, and my friend feared defeat. I said, first of all, we must wipe out all fear and know that God protects your interests and that the divine idea must come out of the situation. That is, the right machine will be sold by the right man to the right man. And I added, don't hold one critical thought towards that man. Bless him all day and be willing not to sell your machine if it isn't the divine idea. So he went to the meeting, fearless and non-resistant, and blessing the other man. He said, the outcome was very remarkable. The other man's machine refused to work, and he sold his without the slightest difficulty. But I say unto you, love your enemies, bless them that curse you, do good to them that hate you, and pray for them which spitefully use and persecute you. Goodwill produces a great aura of protection about the one who sends it, and no weapon that is formed against him shall prosper. In other words, love and goodwill destroy the enemies within oneself. Therefore, one has no enemies on the external. There is peace on earth for him who sends goodwill to man. I love that. I love that so much. I'll read that part because I'll read that part again because a lot of y'all I have been talking about aura forming. Y'all always making up some goddamn new words. We out here aura forming. Aura forming. Class never goes out of style. And it always has aura. Goodwill produces a great aura of protection about the one who sends it, and no weapon that is formed against him shall prosper. In other words, love and goodwill destroy the enemies within oneself. Therefore, one has no enemies on the external. There is peace on earth for him who sends goodwill to man. Now that's aura forming. Excuse me. The law of non-resistance. Ooh, we reading. Yeah, we need to read. Yeah. Reading is sexy to me. Reading turns me on. I love it. The law of non-resistance. Resist not evil. Be not overcome of evil, but overcome evil with good. That quote reminds me of Martin Luther King's quote when he says, what does Martin Luther King say? Martin Luther King has a quote about love and hate. What's Martin Luther King's quote about love and hate? No, I'm talking about Martin Luther King's infamous quote about love and hate. Siri getting on my nerves. I feel like she don't respond on purpose. What is Martin Luther King's favorite or infamous love-hate quote? Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. I have decided to stick with love. Hate is too great a burden to bear.
That's it. The most famous love-hate quote by Martin Luther King Jr. is, "Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. I have decided to stick with love. Hate is too great a burden to bear." Hey, Andrea. I like that quote. And when it says, "Resist not evil, be not overcome of evil, but overcome evil with good." Same difference. Nothing on earth can resist an absolutely non-resistant person. The Chinese say that water is the most powerful element because it is perfectly non-resistant. It can weigh a rock and sweep all before it. Jesus Christ said, "Resist not evil," for he knew in reality there is no evil, therefore nothing to resist. Evil has come of man's vain imagination, or a belief in two powers, good and evil. There is an old legend that Adam and Eve ate of Maya, the tree of illusion, and saw two powers instead of one power, God. Therefore, evil is a false law man has made for himself through psychoma or soul sleep. Soul sleep means that man's soul has been hypnotized by the race belief of sin, sickness, and death, etc., which is carnal or mortal thought, and his affairs have outpictured his illusions. Which is carnal or mortal thought, and his affairs have outpictured his illusions. We have read in a preceding chapter that man's soul is his subconscious mind, and whatever he feels deeply, good or bad, is outpictured by that faithful servant. His body and affairs show forth what he has been picturing. The sick man has pictured sickness, the poor man, poverty, the rich man, wealth. People often say, "Why does a little child attract illness when it is too young to even know what it means?" I answer that children are sensitive and receptive to the thoughts of others about them and often outpicture the fears of their parents. I heard a metaphysician once say, "If you do not run your subconscious mind yourself, someone else will run it for you." Mothers often unconsciously attract illness and disaster to their children by continually holding them in thoughts of fear and watching for symptoms. For example, a friend asked a woman if her little girl had had the measles. She replied promptly, "Not yet." This implied that she was expecting the illness and therefore preparing the way for what she did not want herself and her child. However, the man who is centered and established in right thinking, the man who sends out only goodwill to his fellow man, and who is without fear, cannot be touched or influenced by the negative thoughts of others. In fact, if he could then receive only good thoughts, as he himself sends forth only good thoughts. Resistance is held, for it places man in a state of torment. A metaphysician once gave me a wonderful recipe for taking every trick in the game of life. It is the acme of non-resistance. He gave it in this way. At one time in my life, I baptized children, and of course, they had many names. Now I no longer baptize children, but I baptize events. But I give every event the same name. If I have a failure, I baptize it success in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Ghost. In this, we see the great law of transmutation, founded on non-resistance. Through his spoken word,
Every failure has transmuted into success. For example, a woman who required money and who knew the spiritual law of opulence was thrown continually in a business way with a man who made her feel very poor. He talked lacked in limitation, and she commenced to catch his poverty thoughts, so she disliked him and blamed him for her failure. She knew in order to demonstrate her supply, she must first feel that she had received. A feeling of opulence must precede its manifestation. It dawned upon her one day that she was resisting the situation and seeing two powers instead of one. So she blessed the man and baptized the situation. Success. She affirmed, as there is only one power, God, this man is here for my good and my prosperity. Just what he did not seem to be there for. Soon after that she met I'm having a burp. I don't want to burp on the mic like that. It dawned upon her one day that she was resisting the situation and seeing two powers instead of one. So she blessed the man and baptized the situation. Success. She affirmed, as there is only one power, God, this man is here for my good and my prosperity. Just what he did not seem to be there for. Soon after that, she met through this man a woman who gave her for a service rendered several thousands of dollars, and the man moved to a distant city and faded harmoniously from her life. Make the statement: every man is a golden link in the chain of my good. For all men are God in manifestation, awaiting the opportunity given by man himself to serve the divine plan of his life. Ooh, I love that. I love that. I told y'all, every time I read this book, I find a new gem. And I will read the gem I just highlighted. Every man is a golden link in the chain of my good. For all men are God in manifestation, awaiting the opportunity given by man himself to serve the divine plan of his life. Bless your enemy and you rob him of his ammunition. His arrows will be transmuted into blessings. This law is true of nations as well as individuals. Bless a nation, send love and goodwill to every inhabitant, and it is robbed of its power to harm. Man can only get the right idea of non-resistance through spiritual understanding. My students have often said, I don't want to be a doormat. I replied, when you use non-resistance with wisdom, no one will be able to walk over you. Another example, one day I was patiently awaiting an important telephone call. I resisted every call in that came in and made no outgoing calls myself. Reasoning, that is, might interfere with the one I was awaiting. Instead of saying divine ideas never conflict, that call will come at the right time, leaving it to the infinite intelligence to arrange, I commenced to manage things myself. I made the battle mine, not God's, and remained tense and anxious. The bell did not ring for about an hour, and I glanced at the phone and found the receiver had been off that length of time and that the phone was disconnected. My anxiety, fear, and belief in interference had brought on a total eclipse of the telephone. Realizing what I had done, I commenced blessing the situation at once. I baptized its success and affirmed, I cannot lose any call that belongs to me by divine right. I am under grace and not under law. A friend rushed out to the nearest telephone to notify the company to reconnect. She entered a crowded grocery store, but the proprietor left his customers and tended to the call himself. My phone was connected at once, and 2 minutes later, I received a very important call. And about an hour afterward, the one I had been awaiting, one ships come in over a calm sea. Oh, yeah, yeah. This is good. This is good. Really good. Really, 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 really good. Really good. So long as man resists the situation, he will have it with him. If he runs away from it, it will run after him. For example, I repeated this to a woman one day and she replied, "How true that is. I was unhappy at home. I disliked my mother, who was critical and domineering. So I ran away and was married, but I married my mother, for my husband was exactly like my mother and I had the same situation to face again. Agree with thine adversary quickly." That means agree with the adverse situation is good. Be undisturbed by it and it falls away of its own weight. None of these things move me is a wonderful affirmation. None of these things move me. None of these things move me. I already feel that way, but it's a good affirmation to have. The inharmonious situation comes from some inharmony within man himself. When there is in him no emotional response to an inharmonious situation, it fades away forever from his pathway. So we see man's work is ever with himself. People have said to me, "Give treatments to change my husband or my brother." I reply, "No, I will give treatments to change you. When you change, your husband and your brother will change." One of my students was in the habits of lying. I told her it was a failure method, and if she lied, she would be lied to. She replied, "I don't care. I can't possibly get along without lying." One day, she was speaking on the phone to a man with whom she was very much in love. She returned to me and said, "I don't trust him. I know he's lying to me." I replied, "Well, you lied yourself. So someone has to lie to you, and you'll be sure it will be just the person you want the truth from." Sometime after that, I saw her and she said, "I'm cured of lying." I questioned, "What cured you?" She replied, "I have been living with a woman who lied worse than I did." One is often cured of his faults by seeing them in others. Life is a mirror, and we find only ourselves reflected in our associates. Living in the past is a failure method and a violation of spiritual law. Jesus Christ said, "Behold, now is the accepted time. Now is the day of salvation." Lot's wife looked back and was turned into a pillar of salt. The robbers of time are the past and the future. Man should bless the past and forget it if it keeps him in bondage, and bless the future, knowing it has in store for him endless joys, but live fully in the now. For example, a woman came to me complaining that she had no money with which to buy Christmas gifts. She said, "Last year was so different. I had plenty of money and gave lovely presents, and this year I have scarcely a cent." I replied, You will never demonstrate money while you are pathetic and live in the past. Florence had a tongue on her, didn't she? Even back in the 1920s, she up here talking junk to these people. I mean, she's not talking junk to them, but like, damn, she telling them the truth, ain't she? Like, dang, girl. She said, you pathetic and you're living in the past. Damn. Pathetic and living in the past. Live fully in the now and get ready to give Christmas presents. Dig your ditches and the money will come. She exclaimed, I know what to do. I will buy some tinsel twine, Christmas seals, and wrapping paper. I replied, do that and presents will come and stick themselves to the Christmas seals. This, too, was showing financial fearlessness and faith in God, and the reasoning mind said, keep every cent you have as you are not sure you will get more. You will get any more. She bought the seals, paper, and twine, and a few days before Christmas received a gift of several $100s. Buying the seals and twines had impressed the subconscious with expectancy and opened the way for the manifestation of the money. She purchased all the presents in plenty of time. Man must live suspended in the moment. Look well, therefore, to this day. Such is the salutation of the dawn. He must be spiritually alert, ever awaiting his leads, taking advantage of every opportunity. One day I said continually, silently, Infinite Spirit, don't let me miss a trick. And something very important was told to me that evening. It is most necessary to begin the day with right words. Make an affirmation immediately upon waking. For example, thy will be done this day. Today is a day of completion. I give thanks for this perfect day. Miracles shall follow and wonders shall never cease. I love that. I always find new gems in this book. Make this a habit and one will see wonders and miracles come into his life. One morning I picked up a book and read, Look with wonder at what which is before you. It seemed to be my message for the day, so I repeated it again and again. Look with wonder at which is before you. Look with wonder at that which is before you. At about noon, a large sum of money was given me, which I had been desiring for a certain purpose. In the following chapter, I will give affirmations that I have found most effective. However, one should never use an affirmation unless it is absolutely satisfying and convincing to his own consciousness, and often an affirmative is changed to suit different people. For example, the following has brought success to many. Oh, these are the affirmations. I've read this book so much. These I'm just looking at the comments and I'm looking at the comments and y'all are so weird. Y'all are so weird. Y'all are saying anything in the comments to get attention at this point, which I shall not entertain, and I'm going to continue to read my book because it is satisfying to me. Reading is satisfying to me. Okay? So that's that. I have a wonderful work in a wonderful way. I give wonderful service for wonderful pay. I gave the first two lines to one of my students. Whoop! It's a bug in here. Oh. What? Okay. I know exactly what I'm gonna put it. What the hell? I dated this guy, right? I dated this Nigerian guy back in 2019, 2000, 2019, 2020. A Nigerian guy, like right after my daughter went to Senegal, right? And he used to get gnats in his house, and his remedy. I just trapped. I just trapped. I just trapped this gnat in the glass. Y'all see it in there? You see it? It's on the top. You see it? You see that I just trapped it in here like that, right? I didn't even know I did that. But I don't know why every time you drink wine, gnats just come out of nowhere. Just like, yeah, you want to get out, don't you? You want to get out, but you wanted to annoy me, so now I'm annoying you because I got you trapped in this goddamn glass. You interrupted my reading. I was over here reading. You remind me of nosy people. They say that stuff like you come around in spirit because you want to be nosy. Look, I can see your little fingerprints. Look at his little fingerprints. His little footprints on the glass. Yeah, you disturbed my reading and you disturbed my glass of wine that I was just sitting here enjoying all deliciously. I don't even know where you came from. I have no idea where you came from. But I am a giant to your little ass, and you're not coming up out of here. As a matter of fact, I don't know if I should just keep you for entertainment, or should I just let you do it to yourself, exterminate yourself, because you're in here, bud, and you're not going nowhere. Yup. Yup. I can see you on the top. You're not really hiding. I'm just gonna cause a little commotion. Just cause a little wine commotion. Maybe you're dropping my wine and I pour you out because you just disturbed the fuck out of my wine. And if I was at a restaurant, let me tell you something. If I was at a restaurant, I would be getting another glass of wine right now for free. Yeah. Well, it wouldn't really be for free. It would be a replacement. But now I'm at home and I gotta replace you, my motherfucking self. And it's a big old gulp in this goddamn glass. You see how much wine is in this glass that I gotta pour out now because of your little stinking ass jumping in my glass and interrupting my reading? This is a unexpected intermission from a wine being in my goddamn wine glass, and you almost flew in my eye. You made me slap myself too. Your little ass done caused all this goddamn commotion. Come on. You might as well drop because you're dying today from the wine. I promise you I'm not gonna let go of this top. I promise. Go on down there. I know you wondering how all this commotion is being caused in a goddamn wine glass. I'm not. Let me tell you how much you done pissed me the fuck off. Goddamn wine. I hope you stayed in there. Are you in there? Did you die? Cause I shouldn't even did. I thought it was gonna be good. Yeah. Anyway, let me. Yeah. Look at you. You still hanging on. That motherfucker is still hanging on in their life. That motherfucker is a trooper. Look at it. It's still going, y'all. I did all that. Look at it. It's still going. It's still goddamn going in my glass. Now you done made me goddamn spill wine everywhere because I wanted to try something new. You are annoying. Did you die yet? Look, you still hanging on. That motherfucker is still hanging on. Well, I didn't kill you. The wine killed you because you slid in my glass. You shouldn't have slid in my goddamn glass. Tell me why this gnat is flying around in my wine. I didn't know gnats can fly. Well, you gonna have to drown. You gonna have to drown. And I'll get back to my reading. You know what's so interesting is we're on page 42 in this book has 113 pages, and I already read half of it, and I'm gonna read the rest of it too. I think I already have a recording of me reading this book, to be honest. You know how you start doing something and you be like, damn, wait, I did this before. That's what I feel like I'm doing right now. I feel like I read it before. Not deja vu, but like I actually read this book to you all before. I want a new sofa. If you live in South Florida and you like this sofa and you want to come pick it up, you can have it for free. If you live in South Florida and you want to pick up this sofa, you can have it for free. I promise. Email me if you want the sofa for free. I paid $800 from Wayfair. But you can email me at Akiela Galore at gmail.com. Yeah, AKIELAGALORE at gmail.com. If you are living in South Florida, you have to be living in South Florida, and you have to be able to pick it up yourself. If you can pick it up yourself and you live in South Florida, you can come get this sofa today, right now. Email me, AkielaGalore at gmail.com. If you want the sofa, you can come and pick it up. You can have it. I promise. Yep. You will have to get it clean because it's supposed to be like, I don't know why I got this cream sofa, but you're going to have to clean it, but you can have it for free. If you live in South Florida and you want to pick it up, come pick it up. Yep. Just the sofa. No accessories come with it. Okay, now. Oh, I need another glass of wine in this net. It's still alive. It's still alive. It's still swimming in wine. He fucked up my glass of wine, so I'm gonna fuck him up back. Where is he? This wine has a lot of tannin. Tannin is, the darker the wine, the more tannin it has in it, and you can't see through the wine. Like, even though you can see through like the top, like how I have my finger right here, I can see through the like, top of the wine. But because it has so much tannin in it, it is dark and I can't see through it. Yeah. The legs are not that long in this wine or bold, but the tannin is bold. I learned about wine a long time ago when I was like 18, working at the airport. I worked at a steakhouse. When you work at super duper fancy steakhouses, they'll train you for like 3 months before they even put you on a job to ensure that you can pour wine, and you know the difference, and you know, shit like that. Can't be not knowing how to open and pour a $10,000 bottle of wine, a $20,000 bottle of wine. That would be absurd and look ridiculous. Okay. We're back from our intermission. But do I want to finish reading the rest of this book to y'all? I feel like y'all get the picture. Yep. I feel like y'all get the picture. Yeah, I wanted to read. This morning, I woke up and I wanted to read a book instead of scrolling on my phone. And that's how we got here. That's how we got here. And now I will feel... I mean, I've been reading to you all for almost 2 hours. 2 hours and some change at this point. So I feel justified for scrolling for today. I'll read a couple of comments. It says, from reading your body language, you're more interested in interacting than reading. What is about the wine that we're attracted to? What do you mean? I don't understand your question. I don't understand your question. I just wanted to read today.